Stan, go ahead. And the title, I say the title beforehand. It's called Arabia Mountain. Yeah, Arabia Mountain. That's the
hmm
title.
hmm Um, First off, I love that the tree's on the right side of the image. Um, I think the formatting is nice. The um, I like the panoramic look. Uh, the next thing that really caught my attention was the tones in the photograph. A lot of dark tones and a lot of medium tones, and it really helps that tree stand out. Um, Overall, I like the processing of this image. I like the background being out of focus like it is. Um, Strong photograph, very classic image. A tree on a barren landscape. You can never go wrong with that. Um, I like the Yeah, I like everything about this photo. I really don't have anything negative to say about it. Um, Unless you want me to.
Up to
Don't
you.
be
You can
no,
say negative things.
no,
It's a critique.
it's really a strong photograph. And Yeah, I I don't really have anything to add. It's very nice.
All
And I
right.
want to
Go ahead.
all of It was really hard to choose. All of the images in the series were really strong. Great composition on all of them. Uh, Great tonality. And that's kind of a pet peeve with mine. If it's black and white, I really want to see a nice, strong range of tones. And all of these really address that. It's very nice.
Okay, the next one is the title is you're gonna go forward. Oh, here we go. Gotta love it. It is probably buffering on me. There we go. No vacancy. That's the title.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, I just love you know, this looks like it might have been a time exposure, and to get the birds to be really still like that, it's quite a feat. Composition, the whole mood and feel of this image is just very serene, very relaxing. Um, I like that the brightest aspects of this photo is are the birds. Um, the piers creating a nice leading line into the photograph. Uh, the the horizon, I just love how it blends seamlessly into the sky. Um, I like the darkness of the foreground. It really helps draw the eye into the photograph. Um, Great control in the post processing. I really think he did a great job on this. Um, Again, very serene, very peaceful. Uh, so well done.
All righty. The next one is patterns.
I love the gray tones in this one. I love the patterns, and I the I like what's happening in the foreground. It would have been interesting if you were maybe played with this a little bit more. Maybe you have several other images of this scene, but the foreground, uh, just the texture, it almost looks like dinosaur bones, and it's really, really fascinating. I love the gray tones in this. There's not really a lot of heavy blacks. Black and white doesn't have to have any pure blacks. I mean, grays are uh, more than acceptable. Um, The upper right-hand corner could have probably been burned in a little bit more. Uh, Actually, I probably would have liked to have seen the corners of the photograph burned in just a little bit. Um, the Yeah, I mean, the attention that you paid to the lighting of this is very. I love the drama to it. I love the sweeping line coming in from the right into the hole in the middle. Um, very. It's fun to look at. There's just uh, all kinds of movement happening in this photo from the upper right quadrant, the entire lower half of the photograph. Uh, it's almost like an Escher in a way. You don't know where it begins or where it really ends. Um, but other than the upper corners, maybe bring those in a little bit, meaning darken. Um, I like it. It's nice.
Right. Next one is Rocky Mountain Reflection.
Yeah, beautiful. This is very yeah, it's very peaceful. I love the I love the grays in it. Um, the I would have liked to have maybe seen a little bit more burned in the upper right hand with the in the upper third of the photograph. Um, I would have liked to have maybe seen that a little bit darker. I think you probably could have pulled out some more detail or definitions in the mountains so that it matches the contrast in the lake. Um, the I love the overall contrast in the middle of the photograph with the trees and the reflection of the trees. That has a real nice, strong presence to it. Where I think the image kind of loses it a little bit again is it's with the sky and the upper left-hand corners, or the upper left-hand corner and upper right-hand corner seem a little lighter. I would have liked to have seen those burned in a little bit more. Um, if you don't have a ND filter, you might want to consider getting one because it would have been nice to have a time exposure on this so that the lake has more of a glass look to it. Um, other than that, strong composition. Um, very. I love the overall sharpness. It almost has. I mean, it has a real film quality to it, and I like that. Maybe this was shot with film, but um, I uh, I don't. I don't know if it was. Maybe afterwards the person could tell us. But yeah, those are my suggestions for the photo.
Alrighty. The next one is Snow Canyon, Utah.
Hmm. Uh, Great. Love this. I love the uh, I love the dark areas of the rocks in the foreground. I contrasted against the sagebrush, uh, the lightness of the sagebrush, very, very strong. Wouldn't have mind to see a little bit more contrast in that area, but just to get a little bit more punch in the blacks. Um, the the upper part of the photo, a little too light for my taste because it really draws my attention to the sky in the background as opposed to the foreground. So I think maybe experiment with making the sky a little bit darker. The mountains in the middle there, maybe a little bit more contrast in there too, to get some definition in the texture of the rock. I love the wide angle effect. I love how the foreground just jumps out at you. And I love the full range of tones, from zone 1 to zone 0. It's just, or zone 10. It's just, this is the perfect type of environment for that kind of treatment. But other than the sky, maybe making some adjustments there, I would, it's well done.
Alrighty, next one is No Dance.
I love the simplicity of this, very minimalistic. I like the treatment of the borders. That's a nice touch to it. I like that the photographer looked down at these at this scene and just actually noticed these. I don't know if they're bird feet or what, but um, I like the I like the abstractness of it. They almost look like trees, and the there's really only a couple of tones in here. There's super bright, there's white, and then there's the darkness of the abstracts. I'm going to call them duck bird feet because I think that's what they are. Um, and it really makes the photograph a very simple uh, piece of work, and it nicely presented.
Alrighty, the next one is Solitude.
Solitude indeed. Very nice. Yeah, I love everything about this. Uh, I love the highlight of the wave in the foreground, just drawing you into the person in the background, the mist, uh, the the texture in the sand, uh, nicely controlled. The highlights, nothing's blown out. Um, Maybe would have liked to have seen the very top of the photograph, maybe the top 10th, maybe darkened a little bit to keep the viewer's eye uh, from from drifting off the page. But I'm getting into nitpicking territory here, and I don't like to do that. Um, I would have maybe burned the corners in a little bit more just to draw the viewer in to the middle of the photograph. Um, I love the blur effect of the ocean, and yeah, just all the grays, just a nice range of tones. Nice capture, very classic, very classic.
Alrighty, next one is, I have that right? Storm? Yeah, Storm. That's the title.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. My only, I love the grays in the canyon. Um, there's a lot of nice separation in here, and it's really so it's easy because of the way that the person treated the tones in this image. Um, gives the image a lot of depth, and this this is a tough scene to photograph because all the colors are, they kind of blend into one another. But I really like how the photographer treated the highlights, the bright areas, and the darker areas in the image. The sky, very nice. Looks like there's a dust spot or something that maybe they missed in the upper right-hand corner. I don't know. Maybe it's an orb, but I don't know. The cloud in the upper right-hand corner is kind of blown out. I would have liked to have seen detail in the whites there. But overall, just great control. Love the definition. Uh, just, yeah, just beautiful.
And the last of the monochrome is Winter Along the Yellowstone.
No, love this. The first thing I looked at when I saw this photo was the snow, and I like that there's no pure white areas of the snow, and um, it has a very classic black and white landscape feel to it. I like the mist coming in from the middle left. I think the tonality in the mountain in the background is perfect. Um, would have maybe considered burning in the four corners just to keep the viewers' attention in the middle. Very clean, great composition, and I like how you kept the mountain in the background. I like how you kept detail in the shadow part of the mountain. Um, that's 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 hard to do, and um, but I'm glad you kept it. With all these black and white images, there's just so many different directions that you can take. I don't know what kind of experimentation you did with each image, but it would be, I encourage you to make the image, brighter, really dark, so there's some heavy shadows, and something with heavy contrast. Um, you know, uh, that's the exciting part about shooting black and white with this kind of subject matter. So, but I think the treatment overall with these images has been, well done.
Like,
Oh,
what's
I'm
the
sorry.
time?
Thank you, Daryl. It's called a Monet ambiance.
Great. Okay. I think it's a very fitting title. Very pastel. I like the blueness of the grass, and it's not it's not saturated by any means, and I think that pays pays homage to Monet, certainly. I like how the colors of the red draw you into the photograph. I think the selective focus is a nice touch, so that the foreground's in focus and the background sort of uh, blends in with the background. Um, Maybe consider darkening the corners just a little bit. Um, and I would I'm interested to know after this the photographer was thinking. I'm always curious to know what photographers are thinking when they're taking a photo, how they see the end image after they process it. Um, I like the little splashes of yellow in there. Um, very beautiful, very nice.
All right, next one is aspens and hoodoos.
Yeah. Very uh great scene. I love the soft colors. Um, the the aspen, I I'm not sure if the main subject here were the rocks or if they were the aspen, but I think I think you could have maybe adjusted the color in the aspen a little bit so that they adjust them so that they stand out a little bit more. It kind of blends into the background a little bit too much. Um, would have liked to have seen a little bit more saturation and contrast in this image. Also, it would be fun to maybe try this in black and white. 'Cause I think the tones in here really lend itself well to a black and white. Um, composition wise, like everything about it, um, nothing stands out that is uh, obnoxious, I guess. Not the right word, but it's compositionally it's very strong. Just technically, I'd like to maybe have seen a little bit more saturation and uh, separation or definition in the rock area.
All right, next one is before the sunrise.
Very classic. I like the overall look. The the image is a little bit muted, and I don't know if that was deliberate, or if that's exactly how you saw it and that's what you wanted. If that's the case, then it's a great composition. Um, I I like the vantage point. Love the background. Um, yeah, just love how the horizon just blends into the background. It's really nice. Um, it would be fun to play with this in black and white as well, because it's already abstract in a way, and it's but great attention to just a classic uh seascape composition. So
Oh, go
other
ahead.
than contrast a little bit more, I it may make it fall apart. I don't know. But again, I just encourage you guys, and maybe you're already doing this, but to, try different things, heavy contrast, uh, lighter pastels, things like that.
All right, next one is bluebird beaks and butts.
I love, I like that they had three birds facing camera and three facing away. That's really a nice, you know, nice attention to a moment like this. Um, I like the cropping. I maybe would have cropped it a little bit more. Um, the birds are the birds sort of get lost in this photograph, and I think a little bit more work uh, in post production would have you would have been able to get these birds to pop a little bit more and stand out from the background. I would have taken the upper third corner and the lower right corner and I would have darkened those probably 100%. And I think that would have helped the birds stand out a little bit more. But nice capture. I like I love the overall moment.
Alrighty, the next one is darkness into darkness into light. Darkness into light.
Again, very classic. Um, I love the I love the foreground. I love the foreground that it's slightly out of focus, and the transition from shadow to highlight in that area is really dramatic. And as you go into the photograph, I just love all the waves and all the curves in this. Um, nice tonality. It would make a great black and white photograph. I would have maybe. I'm curious to see what it would have looked like if you would have cropped the top part of the photograph and just showed the the middle wave. So what I'm suggesting is crop the top so that it comes just touching that middle wave there. And great capture, late afternoon light. Um, any other time of day, it would have been probably would not have worked. Uh, Stuff like this. I don't know if you had a any more of a zoom lens, but it would have been fun to zoom in even closer to some of the dunes in the foreground, just to give more attention uh, to the shapes in the foreground. Uh, so that's my input on that.
Alrighty, next one is Enchanted Lake.
Love the lake here. Um, I I love the composition. I love the environment. I think the person could have done more in post-production with this to get the island to maybe pop a little bit more. Um, there's really no definition here, and the clouds, since they're so bright, my attention tends to go toward them as opposed to what's in the foreground and in the middle area of the photograph. Um, this would have been a nice time exposure too if you had some like a ND filter, yeah, like a 10 stop ND filter. The the lake would have almost turned to a glass effect, but at the same time the clouds would have been blurry, which is would have been a really interesting effect. Um, but yeah, I think a little bit more contrast and definition in the photograph is needed here.
Alrighty, next one is Facing the Storm.
Yeah, I just love this photo. I I like that the beak and the eye is sharp on the bird. Um, I I like the branch. I like the gradation in it, in the branch. Very nice. I would have darkened the corners a little bit to bring the viewer's attention into the bird. Love the desaturated look of the image. Other than the red on the bird, it's a very monochromatic image. The, you know, the snowflakes, very delicate in the photograph. Um, great, yeah, great capture. Other than maybe, darkening the corners a little bit, I have very strong photograph.
Alrighty, the next one is floating on black water.
Yeah, this is Um, you know, I think the overall treatment of this is just perfect. I like the blackness in the foreground, and then in the background, there's a little bit of texture of the water. I think that's important to give, adds a little bit of depth to the photograph. I think the muted reds and yellows and greens in the leaf uh, just has a nice floating meditative vibe to it. Uh, I like that the stem tends to go out of focus in the background. Um, Great attention to a simple subject. I like that someone can, see something like this and, take time to photograph it because you know, most people would look the other way, but I think that the way uh, you captured the image and then the way you handle the color and contrast treatment is very, very strong.
Alrighty, next one is golden eyes.
Uh, I like this photo. I like the composition. I love the bokeh in the background. There's so much more you can do with this image, though. The background could have been darker. Um, and I think overall the image is a little light and the the animal just doesn't stand out as much as I think it could. Uh, but I I love the overall capture. Again, I think, doing more with it in post production is, you know, something to explore further. I love the sharpness of both of the eyes and the face. Um, I love how the ears are starting to go soft. Uh, Other than those suggestions, I think it's well composed.
Alrighty, next one is golden pier.
Yeah, very classic. I like how the photographer the sun almost in the end of the pier. I like the backlighting of the pier, the horizontal the vertical lines of yellow or orange uh along the pier is very, very strong. I like the blurring of the water. Um, yeah, just very classic. Um, I love the subtle purple in the sky and the subtle purple in the foreground of the water is very, very nice. Very classic, very classic. Nice, great composition. Um, you can tell the photographer took their time setting this up because of the spacing between uh, in the piers, between the pylons. Nice.
All right.
Excellent.
Next one is resurrection.
This is a beautiful environment. Compositionally, I like that none of the headstones are cropped out or cut into. Um, I would have liked to have maybe seen you experiment with trying to get the tree to stand out, because that's that's the whole message of the photograph, the resurrection. And I would like to see that tree jump out at me. And you know, other than experimenting with the image in Photoshop or Lightroom, I that's the only suggestion I can make. I like the light, beautiful light. Um, would have liked to have maybe seen a little bit more contrast in the foreground, um, to get some more definition in the headstones. Saturation, I think the saturation's right on. Um, yeah, other than trying to do something to get to get the tree to really jump out at you. Uh, it's a nice attention to light. The Okay.
The next one is the journey.
Yeah, this is love this photograph. Very classic. Um, I love the shapes in the sand. I like the little splotches of color uh, on the camel, the people on the camel. Um, Something to consider. This would be a nice strong horizontal panoramic where you crop into the bottom and the top to give it a really elongated look to it. Um, I'd like to maybe see a little bit more contrast in the photo, um, and maybe try to do something so that uh, the camels sort of pop out a little bit more. Um, the fact that the camels are that that white spot, that highlight behind them, is also important. If that wasn't there, uh, I just don't think the image would have worked. But compositionally, very strong. Love the light, and other than those adjustments or changes, I think it's well done.
All right, the last for color is Western Glow.
Yeah, this is very classic. Um, I like the composition that it's sort of leading off into the lower left-hand corner. Um, would have liked to have maybe seen more. I'd like to see more definition in the foreground, in the shadow area. And I'd like to see more saturation overall in the photograph. I think the red rocks could have a lot more punch, and I think the blue sky can probably be a little bit deeper. Um, I think this image would also translate nicely into black and white. Uh, so maybe, take that for a spin. Um, would have liked to have seen the rocks in the background more in focus or sharp. Uh, may not have been uh, it may not have been an option, considering you may not have had a tripod, or uh, or you may be moving, I don't know. Um, I would encourage you to experiment with it a little bit more to maybe get the colors to jump out at you somewhat and to get more definition in the darker area.
Alrighty. So now you just need to tell me, because I don't know, I didn't see a winners list. So anyway, we'll start with monochrome. So I know you've already decided. So we have a second and a first for monochrome. So what was second place? So let me start at the beginning.
Sure.
So second place goes to,
Okay. The first place goes to the,
second place,
huh?
second place, first, please.
What's that? The third place?
First and second place, right? Is that correct? Yeah. For monochrome. So what's second place?
Well, Daryl, if I recall, you wanted a third place for black and white too?
You
Is that
should
right?
not announce it's an experiment. So but we go by 20% of the entries, and there were only 9. So that translates to 2 ribbons, being a first and a second. And what Mike's asking for is to hear the second place first to lead up to presenting the first place.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. I think the second place is the image of the pier.
The pier.
Yeah, solitude, the person walking.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I'm ramboing this.
That one.
There you go. Second place. And that
Yeah.
goes to Mark. Tell us about Mark.
Yeah, that was down at Tybee Island. It was actually originally a color shot that I turned into monochrome. We had some really beautiful fog. It's kind of unusual. We go down there quite a bit, but we never get fog. And that particular day, we got lucky.
All righty. And drum roll. First place goes to.
First place goes to the picture of the Grand Canyon.
Oh, good deal. That's Mr. Daryl.
Surprise. It is indeed the Grand Canyon, and there was indeed a storm over there in the background, and it is. I was very happy. It's. I guess I did have it on a tripod, but I was very happy with the definition and everything. It was a high megapixel camera, a Nikon Z8 with 46, 47 megapixels.
Yeah. Wow.
And just all the, as you said, all the tonalities came out.
Yeah.
The black and white is probably better than the color version. So
Probably is. Yeah. Yes. Other than those bright clouds in the background.
yeah, and you see the UFO, the round UFO up there that I inadvertently caught up there in the sky.
Well done.
They're out there. It's a dust spot, and you caught it, and I didn't.
Well
I'm going
done.
to tell everybody it's a UFO. They really are. I'm going to call up the Air Force Blue Book people.
There
It
you
is
go.
a UFO. Come on, folks. Get real. All righty. Now the color. We have third, second, and third. So what was third?
Okay. Third place is the Cardinal.
Well, we're right. Is that it? Is that the cardinal?
It is a house finch.
Is that right? Is that third place?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
third place, Daryl again.
It is a house finch on my deck in one of those recent snowstorms. And you can see the poor thing. You know how they insulate? It's the airspace between the feathers. It's just like if you buy a jacket. It's all about the airspaces in there. And that's what they do. They fluff out like that, and they just endure it. And I did try it in black and white, but it's the color, the splash of color on the back that I
Well,
like.
it's kind of in black and white anyway, except for the color in many respects.
It is kind of monochrome, except for
Yeah, so that's what makes it good.
yeah.
I'm glad you didn't go with black and white.
Mhm.
Yeah. I converted it to black and white when I was looking at the image, and
Yeah,
it's definitely a color photograph.
yeah.
You already got a lot of black and white, if you will, in it anyway, kind of. So that's what makes it. That's why it gives it a nice tonation.
Right.
Okay, second place, drum roll.
Second place is the pier.
The pier, and that is Mark.
Yeah, that was also at Tybee Island. Up early for the sunrise, and the sun just caught the horizon, and just did a long exposure on a tripod, and was just trying to get everything lined up properly and trying to get that sun ray down the middle. So yeah.
I have a picture from long ago that actually got a ribbon in the club for this pier, shot in a more conventional angle, and it made me think. I saw, was the other picture of a pier with a structure out on the end of it the same pier?
Yeah, that was same pier.
I don't remember the structure being there, and it's either my memory or it's a different pier, or has that been there a long time, or was it destroyed and this is a rebuilt?
No, I think it's been there a long time.
Yeah.
Mark,
Yes.
is this pier that you photographed in the other photograph in your black and white? Is this
Yeah,
the
it's
same?
same pier, yeah.
Same pier, yeah.
Did you try to convert this one to black and white?
I did. I have a black and white version also, yeah.
I'm sure it looks good.
Yeah, I like the color one though.
Yeah, it's probably hard to decide which way to go on this one.
Also, you know the sun's right out there, but it's not blasting at you.
No.
That's
No.
the nice thing about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to get the feeling you're experiencing the third coming. So that's
Yes, that's right.
And first place,
First place is the leaf in the water.
and that is that one, and that is Gennario.
I caught this on a kayak trip to the Okefenokee, and I was in a certain part of the Okefenokee, and this was floating by, and I grabbed this shot.
Love it. Great
Yeah,
tree.
yeah. I took one look because I had to strip all the names off for the judge. So I saw this and I said, oh, that's it. And
That's what
you
that's
can
the
tell
one.
it's floating. You can see the water coming up over the edges of it at certain points.
Yeah.
So
That's a lovely shot.
my first question was, Gennario, were you in the water? Because he
No,
does
I was in a boat.
underwater photography, but he was in a kayak.
I'm shocked you weren't in the water. You're always in the water, you know?
Yeah, he's always
Not
been
in
in
the
the water.
Okefenokee.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't be in there. Yeah, that's probably not a smart move.
There's about a 10-foot gator about
Yeah,
20 yards away. So
you'd be a snack.
What
they
kind-
really don't bother you much.
Well, but
What
still.
what kind of treatment did you do on the image? What kind of processing?
Not much at all, other than a little white balance and contrast.
Yeah.
Other than that, I really didn't do a whole lot of anything to it.
Olympus OM1?
No, this is my old Olympus, my OEM1, yeah, the OM1. It's
OM1, yeah.
which is now a brick.
That came with the Pilgrim.
Oh, yes, it went underwater and,
I flooded it,
uh-huh.
so.
Gennaro, I'm curious about the lighting. Was this particular time of day, or was there light coming through the canopy that,
No,
made
this
this
was-
show up? Or
There was no canopy in this area, Okefenokee. It was kind of it was in an area, some kind of lake. It's an area of the Okefenokee, they call it a lake, and so there was no canopy, and there was just a bunch of these lily pads just kind of floating, and this one was bent over, just skimming the top of the water. And I thought it was an unusual shot because the color caught my eye, the red, but this was probably about 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
okay, thanks.
It's really something.
Any other comments about the other images? Since, any other thoughts?
Well, I do have to comment that I'm responsible for the bluebird beaks and butts.
I figured that.
And I put it in there because I thought it was kind of cute. They all lined up that way. This was at the visitor center at I think it may have been Bryce Canyon,
That's
and
a shot only Daryl would take.
that was my Bryce Canyon photo too, Stan. And I've made notes here. You like kicking up contrast, and you like a little bit of vignetting. So I'm going to go back to that one and see if I can kick up contrast on the. At first I thought the thing was a cottonwood, and I thought, no, not there. So I had to go back and read, and no, it was an aspen.
And
Ole, I'm going to point out a picture. I'm going to mention who did it. You went by. It's that lake picture.
Oh, the lake picture?
Yeah, lake pic. That one.
Yeah.
So I really liked that, and
Thank you.
I know you were out hiking recently in Washington State. Is that where you caught this?
Yeah, it was basically this September. It's
Yeah.
a Lake Angeles. There is a
Yeah.
town called Port Angeles on the shore, and then you need to hike a little bit to see it.
Yeah.
I really like this too. I mean, I actually I think if he'd added more contrast, it wouldn't have worked. I think the lighter contrast makes this work. It has an ethereal.
It
Which
does
is-
have an ethereal look to it,
Yeah, it does.
and I don't know if you crop the bottom some, but it's interesting. You can see
The wood.
the wood.
I think the wood's interesting, and I'm guessing that a polarizer may have allowed you to pull that wood out more detail. I think that made it more interesting. Nice.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think just a hint of the wood works.
Well,
I think if you had a polarizer, it would draw too much attention to it.
Well, you
There's enough
can
attention.
adjust that. You're right.
You would
make it-
lose some of the reflections of the trees and the vegetation and all
Yeah, I
that,
think it
and that
draws
would,
just enough
yeah.
attention to it to make it
You
interesting.
have to just play with it and see what you like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually,
If you want-
I
if you
guess
wanna-
I
if
had
you
a
wanna play with this,
polarizer.
If you ever get in a playful mood, you need to put a dragon somewhere in this thing flying through those.
Here's some generative AI. Put a dragon in there. Yes.
I know. I have some dinosaur models,
It
Jim.
looks like I want to see a dragon coming over the mountains in this.
I mean, honestly, I had in mind these stories about King Arthur, Lady of the
Yeah.
Lake, stuff
Yeah.
like that,
Yeah.
fairies,
It does have that
and yeah.
Well, it's got a
Oh,
fog on the lake. I try it in monochrome too.
Oh,